in a in a good poem, there's an idea that is running underneath the whole poem. And every word and sentence and phrase and stanza is circling around that idea, is an expression of that idea in different forms. And when you read the poem, when you discover the idea that connects everything, then you really enjoy the poem. But a bad poem doesn't have such an idea, and maybe it's a bunch of individual phrases, and each one is very beautiful and maybe artistically composed. But it's not a good poem, because things aren't linked by some underlying idea. And in the same way with our life, we long to discover some truth that lies beneath all our movements and feelings and relationships, all the things we do and all the things that happen to us. And we can't find that truth, that thing that connects it and makes our life make sense. Then this world doesn't feel like our home. Our life is like a confusing poem that we don't understand. But this idea, this truth you're searching for, is not something of your own creation. The world is not relative and random and chaotic. You're not free to choose what is the meaning of your life. You didn't create your life. You are to act out a meaning that is much deeper and more important than your own existence and all the little things you happen to us. How could it be otherwise? How horrible would it be if our life was so random that we had to discover its own meaning? Your soul is ever connected to the infinite soul. It's not that you have to form that connection or build it up. It always is. On the other side of your life, you are becoming. You're trying to become the truth, but on the deepest side of yourself, it's already a connection. And it's always been like that. In the book by Hermann Hesse called Siddhartha, the main character, his name's Govinda, and he learns to listen to the sound of the river. And the river is himself. And the river is everywhere making a different sound, but it's always saying the same thing. I will be one with the ocean. I will be one with the sea. It's not a vain statement, I'm going to be one with the sea. That's the destination of the river. It's the realization of its destiny. And the thing about the river is that at one moment, when you look at the river, one point, yes, it's in a process of moving from its infancy in the mountains and maturing itself to its final destination, the sea. But the other thing, it's always connected to the sea. At every moment, it's everywhere. And on its journey, the river goes past towns and villages and cities and forests. And these things are so attractive. It passes through everything in this material world. But none of those things are its home. The river cannot be a forest, it cannot be a city. And in the same way, you will be one with the infinite consciousness. And that's the realization we have to have in our life, that that's what my movements are all about, and that gives meaning to everything that happens to me. But at the other side, you're already one with the Supreme Consciousness. You cannot be otherwise. Your soul and the infinite soul their wedding was billions of years ago. And that's not really true. That existence is beyond the realm of time. That's why the river is a good analogy, because in our in our time-bound awareness, in this pole of my existence, I'm in the process of becoming something, and I'm searching for that unifying idea that will give meaning and unity to everything that happens to me. But the other pole of my existence is without time. And there, the river of my, not just my life, but all my lives, is at the one point in the start, and at the one point it's already at this destination. And so you don't get to choose this ultimate truth and meaning. You have to realize it inside yourself. That's the destination of your movements. And the things which seem in your life overwhelming or difficult or evil, the things we experience in the world outside, they seem that way because we detach them in time. We look at them at a standstill, as if there was just a moment of some evil and that was all there was. But the world isn't part of a flow, it's moving somewhere. The concept we have of hell is a suffering detached from time and person. Moving a boulder up the hill with no purpose. And but all these things exist as a part of a process, as a part of a flow. It's going to pass on, both in your life and in society and in nature. Everything is moving. When we detach it from that movement and look at it and hold it up there, it's, look what happened. Oh, that seems evil, because what's the point of it? And the same with your life. When you don't find the meaning that makes you understand the flow of your life as a purpose, you can't find that idea that is running and unifying and guiding everything that happens to you, then we detach ourselves. And, this seems hard, this seems horrible, this seems bad. The word eternal doesn't mean endless or infinite time. Eternal means outside the realm of time. Right? And at one side of your being, you're eternal. You're outside of time. You're always peaceful, you're already connected with the infinite consciousness. But the other side, at one side of your being, you already are. The other side, you are becoming. You're moving towards something. The spiritual life and life in general is about maintaining a connection between these two aspects of our existence. And it's hard because usually the eternal side, we don't even know it's there. It's not that it's hard to find, we just don't pay attention to it. Because the river is so obsessed with the things that it's going past, it thinks that's what is real. But these are things, you're flowing through this universe, you're flowing through your experiences, you're flowing through this body and your relationships. And you cannot hold on to them at all. Because when you try to do that, when our ego tries to do that, we misunderstand what we are. We think we're a lake, but you're not a lake, you're a river. And the thing that connects your time-bound process of becoming something to your timeless, eternal truth, which you always are, that's the mantra. That's the idea that connects the poetry of your life and makes it meaningful. Is that connection that's always there. Buddha, he would tell his followers, don't forget what you are. Never forget. You have to constantly maintain this awareness of the link between your finite self that's in a process of transformation and the infinite self. You should never confuse yourself and think you're a human being when you're actually a river that's been flowing long before you were a person and is going to merge one day in the infinite consciousness. And Mother Teresa said the same. It's like, she said, when you pray, you listen. You're not trying to talk to God. You're trying to maintain that connection. You're not listening to learn something with your intellect. Because intellect can only understand those things which can be analyzed. It can only understand things which are partial. Things which are complete, which are whole, which are true, can't be understood with the intellect because it can only analyze. Those things are only understood with your heart, which understands things by becoming one with them. And so, we're always making a constant effort to keep track of this. To not forget what we are. To not forget the idea that unifies our life, the essence of who we are. Mysticism is this effort we're making to maintain that link between our finite self and our eternal self. And as we go through from obstacle to obstacle, from suffering to suffering, from joy to happiness to crying, from one anxious fear to another anxious fear, from one desire to another desire, what is the urge that you're longing for? What is the longing behind your longing? You want ice cream, you want a car, you want a friend. There's this beneath it all. I want to know what makes all these things become one unified flow. Not just a bunch of chaotic, disconnected things inside myself. And what makes all my random, uncontrollable emotions just different expressions of one singular love. And what enables that to happen is when you can maintain this connection between your finite self and your infinite self. And you do that through a mantra. And so when Siddhartha was listening to the river, that's the metaphor for the mantra. Because what is the mantra of the river? It's that I am the ocean. I'm already there. So the effort of the river is, as it's passing through towns and cities, to maintain its link with the ocean, not to forget that's where it's going. And when it does that, everything it passes through is part of the ocean for that river. Because that's part of the process that's going to make it become one with the river. So the river's mantra is, this is everything is the ocean. And that's what I'm going to become. I've made a mistake. The main character in the book Siddhartha, his name is Siddhartha. Govinda was his childhood friend. I thought I better say that, otherwise maybe someone will watch the video and be like, no, it's not Govinda. Okay, so the point of it all is that you don't have much of a choice. It's just a matter of time. Your timeless self is waiting for you to start connecting with your timeless self. When the rivers and the mountains and the streams, they can pretend, I don't know where I'm going, I'm just a little baby. But doesn't have a choice in the matter. Sooner or later, we all have to come. That's why Rabindranath Tagore, he was talking to some ascetics. They were, I don't know what spiritual path they were on, but he said, can you explain to me the essence of your spiritual path, the essence of the teaching? And one said, oh, it's so complicated. And the other said, no, it's quite simple. is that by knowing, we make effort to know our individual soul, and by knowing our soul, we discover the Supreme Soul. And Tagore said, but do you find it to be so? Are people coming? And he said, without the least bit of impatience, they will all come someday. Everybody. It's just a matter of time.